All right, friends, we are 7 days into the federal takeover of Washington, D.C., and we're starting to see some of the results. Now, there was a person that perished on day one of the federal takeover, and man, oh man, was the mainstream media giddy. They were giddy with this, saying President Trump owns this. Well, we've seen a dramatic drop in crime rates. We've seen a dramatic change of what's happening, and we are hearing from President Trump as well as others inside the U.S. government on what's going to happen next. And it's good news. It's really, really good news. If you've ever been to Washington, D.C., or if you know anything about the real Washington, D.C., you know how unsafe and dangerous the city has become. Not only that, but if you take a bus through the suburbs or the city to get to the downtown area where the Capitol building is and everything, you know what type of, it looks like a third world country. It's absolutely awful looking. And they're finally starting to turn that around. All right, we're going to cover what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what's going to be done in addition to this, not just security. They're going to upgrade the city. There's been so much corruption, embezzlement of funds, and misdirection of funds. They've been painting rainbows instead of fixing sidewalks and fixing roads and fixing signs. We're going to talk about this. All right, so President Trump yesterday appeared at a security headquarters. This was in front of the U.S. Park Police Anacostia Operations Facility, which is in Washington, D.C., where they're staging a lot of federal agencies to do the policing work in addition to Washington City Police. So we have roughly 300 officials from the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, the ATF finally doing something useful out there. You got the U.S. Marshal Service, National Guard, FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, and the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police. About 300 officers and agents from those different agencies were being addressed by President Trump as they were out there hard at work, patrolling the streets and pursuing criminals inside Washington, D.C. In order to bring safety and security to the population there and to all the visitors who come through those areas as well. President Trump said, "You do the job on safety and I'll get this place fixed up physically. And we're going to be so proud of it at the end of 6 months." So President Trump promising that this is the first step of security, but then they're going to really go after the physical presence, the infrastructure of Washington, D.C. as well to improve things. This really does harken back to New York City, 1994 through 2001. Rudy Giuliani, mayor of New York City, was dealing with a massive crime wave. The city was looking horrible and was falling apart. And Rudy Giuliani went out there and launched a massive campaign to bring crime under control, make New York City safe again. He was operating under some of the theories that have been used in some smaller locations called broken windows. And basically the concept of that is if you're in an inner city area and you see lots of broken windows, you're going to kind of think to yourself, it's okay to do, vandalism. It's okay to put spray paint on this wall because there's already some spray paint there. It's okay to break that window because there's already a couple broken windows. The idea is if you fix the windows and you clean off the graffiti, then somebody will, won't be as likely to put graffiti on that wall. They won't be as likely to break the window. And if they see an orderly scene around them, they're more likely to know that if they're going after people who are doing graffiti, going after people who are, beating fares stealing from Metro, and these type of smaller crimes, these more visible, just kind of in your face crimes, smaller crimes than the serious ones, then the serious crimes will become less, will happen less often as well. So what you need is a lawful kind of environment that will produce more lawful behavior. So President Trump is, he was there in New York City. He was a part of the Broken Windows campaign. He's good friends with Rudy Giuliani. So obviously, this is something he's thinking about, and other cities have replicated the same thing. New York City's crime rates dropped dramatically during that period. They put officers out there on the streets. They started some controversial policies like stop and frisk. If you looked like a criminal, they would stop you, and if you're dressed like one, stop you and frisk you for contraband and for weapons, right? And this is one of the things they did. It's kind of like when you're walking down the street, you can look at some people and you're like, I think that person's a criminal. And hopefully that's not racial profiling on your part, but looking at how somebody dresses, how they carry themselves, and just the aura that they project themselves, I think most of us, if we're just being honest, you can go, that person's probably up to no good. But in order to not offend anyone, they were like, well, we can't arrest people, we can't stop people, we can't question people, we can't search them unless we have probable cause, which legally is a whole conversation right there. But the idea is put lots of officers, in this case, lots of agents out on the streets, flood the streets with police officers, make people start feeling safe again, safe enough that they feel comfortable reporting crimes again. When you're living in a city where people are too afraid to pick up the phone and call 911, that is a serious situation. So not only are they going to bring crime rates down, but they're also going to rebuild the city. That's what we're hearing here. President Trump said that by the end of the year, Washington would be maxed out in terms of beauty. You'll have all new surfaces. You'll have all new medians between the roads, right? Everything's going to look beautiful. A lot of your signs are going to be taken down. They've been up for 40 years. A lot of these signs, street signs, that type of thing. They look like they're barely standing up. So replacing signs with new signs, make things look better, deal with the infrastructure. President Trump was accompanied by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum and Attorney General Pam Bondi. Among other administration officials, the president said the burgers, we'll give you the stats of how effective this has been in just a moment here, but they delivered hamburgers that were cooked at the White House, and they brought pizzas that were ordered from a local restaurant. Burgum, the secretary, the Interior Secretary, said, if we're the greatest country in the world, you shouldn't be afraid to go out to dinner. I don't think we should be afraid to go out to dinner and just walk the streets, right? Burgum said Trump's federal takeover in Washington sends a message to every city in the country that America, the greatest country in the world, is going to have the most beautiful capital and the safest capital. Pam Bondi also said that various law enforcement agencies are, quote, working hand in hand to make D.C. safe. They're out here working midnights every night because they love our country, they love our city, and they love you. And I think most of us get that, right? When a city is functioning properly, the people that are serving the police force, as long as they're not mercenaries in like a war zone like they are in Chicago and New York City today and Los Angeles, these people are either political operatives because they're all about the political side of things, or they're mercenaries because, like, how many of these people really believe that they're making a difference anymore? They're looking around themselves and they're not allowed to do anything. and they're handicapped and they're going into harm's way. They have to be paid a lot of money to do that because why else would you do it? If you're not being allowed to help people, if you're not allowed to make things safer, then it gets awfully short, the reasons why you do it. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Crime, now the takeover has happened 7 days ago. So we've had a week of being federally managed. Crime in Washington, D.C. has nosedived this week versus last week. Since the takeover, 630 criminals have been arrested. 86 illegal boomsticks have been seized, plus 24 suspected others were arrested just yesterday. So they are arresting people who aren't supposed to be in the United States, especially those who are committing crimes or have criminal histories. So what's the overall statistics? Total crime down 8%. Now, with them actually arresting people for crimes, you'd think that would mean it would go up, right? But even in the short term, crime is down. Reports of crime and violent crime, way down. Now, they're arresting people for vandalism and all that kind of stuff like that they weren't before, so crime overall is probably not dropping as fast because they're going after these people now, and more people are being booked with these crimes. But violent crime is, it either happened or it didn't, right? People report X happened, someone should do something about that. Violent crime down 30% in 1 week. What will it look like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month? Total property crime down 6%. Robberies down 48%. Homicides, I think that's one we really want to have go down 33% in just 1 week. Is that worth it? How many lives just got saved? How many lives just got saved? Is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. Motor vehicle theft down 30%. And when we start looking at carjackings, we're looking at roughly a 30% decrease in carjackings as well. Swarming the streets with federal agents and getting the Metropolitan DC police force out there on the streets, actually patrolling, actually arresting people, is making a difference. So this is 7 days in, and it seems to be going really, really great so far. Hopefully the results will follow more like what New York City saw and other states saw. Now, this policy, once again, this isn't something radical or unusual or crazy. Other cities have, gotten to a point where they just had enough of it, and they're like, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna solve the crime problem. We're not gonna tolerate crime anymore. We're gonna put police officers out there. We're gonna make arrests, and you know what? If we stop you and you're innocent, we're sorry, but we're not sorry. If we have to stop some innocent people and inconvenience them in order to protect the lives and the property of American citizens in the city, well, that's what's going to happen. And so that's what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. A bunch of people are being inconvenienced. They're seeing cars going by and parking in all sorts of places that are probably inconvenient to the citizens of Washington, D.C. But when you look at the violent crime rates of Washington, D.C., it's been more dangerous in Washington, D.C. than it has been in Bogota, Colombia. It's kind of renowned for being a dangerous place, Bogota, Colombia, but Washington, D.C., even more dangerous. So we got criminal gangs that are running the city. We got all sorts of illegal businesses. We got all sorts of criminal activity, violent activity, and they're preying on what they view to be as rich people kind of coming in through the city. Politicians are being attacked. Staffers for Congress people are being attacked. Even Doge did not get unscathed. One of the primary Doge workers, Department of Governmental Efficiency workers, was beaten into hospitalization because he was trying to defend a woman from being carjacked. And the gang beat the snot out of him. And that's one of the reasons why what that provoked this is President Trump just finally just said, that's enough. We're done. We're done with this crime. We're done with this city looking like garbage. I don't care that it's a Democrat-run city that they want to continue to run into the ground. It is a district, a federal district that does come under the direct authority of the federal government. It is not an independent state, and so therefore it should be operated, managed, and the emergency procedures that exist should be triggered because there is absolutely an emergency happening in Washington, D.C. Anyone who disagrees with that is being flat out dishonest, or they're just guzzling the propaganda from the mainstream media. All right, friends, let me know what you guys think. Is this a good thing what President Trump is doing in Washington, D.C.? Do you think it's working? Do you think we should be doing it in some other cities? Let me know down in the comments down below. And thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.